We obsess over boomers and their real estate, analyze millennials and their avocado toast, and Gen Z's side hustles get entire think pieces. But there's an entire generation, often overlooked, managing their finances in a strangely contradictory manner. Their unique financial psychology traces back to a single, seismic economic event that fundamentally reshaped their worldview. Generation X, born between 1965 and 1980, are the quiet accumulators. They're your coworker who has amassed more wealth than many millennials could dream of, yet acts as if they're one paycheck away from disaster. Your uncle with $50,000 in savings who refuses to replace his 5-year-old Toyota. The friend who drops $500 on concert tickets but meticulously uses coupons at the grocery store. What nobody tells you is this: their money psychology is unlike any other generation. And it all stems from one specific moment in economic history that profoundly altered their perspective. Imagine this. It's 1983. You're a child, perhaps 10 years old, watching your father at the bank. He deposits his paycheck from the same company he's worked at for 15 years, a steady amount every 2 weeks. The teller knows him by name. He has a pension, a savings account that actually earns interest, and his mortgage will be paid off in 12 years, right on schedule. Everything makes perfect sense. Work hard, save diligently, retire comfortably. The formula works. Fast forward to 2008. You are now 35, and you followed that exact formula. You did everything right, yet you've just watched your 401k plummet by half, your home value crater, and your supposedly secure company begin laying off employees who'd been loyal for 2 decades. The formula, it turns out, was a lie. That profound betrayal shaped every financial decision they would make for the rest of their lives. This leads to the first peculiar characteristic of Gen X's relationship with money. They are simultaneously the most anxious about retirement and the most consistent savers. A 2023 study by the Transamerica Center for Retirement Studies reveals that 70% of Gen X express deep fear about retirement, yet they also boast the second highest 401k contribution rates of any generation. They don't believe it will work, but they do it anyway. Psychologists term this defensive pessimism. Essentially, you assume everything will go wrong, so you prepare obsessively, ensuring you're covered when it inevitably does. It's an exhausting approach, but for Gen X, it has been a survival mechanism, and frankly, their paranoia isn't unfounded. They witnessed their parents' pensions vanish, graduated into recessions, and purchased homes just before a major market crash. They aren't pessimists. They are realists who have been burned too many times. Before millennials coined the term side hustle, Gen X had already invented it. Federal Reserve data indicates that Gen X has higher rates of self-employment and secondary income streams than both boomers and millennials. But here's the crucial distinction. Most still cling to their day jobs. They aren't trying to escape the 9-to-5 to live their dreams. They are meticulously constructing escape tunnels while keeping the main exit wide open. Your Gen X neighbor isn't flipping houses out of a passion for real estate. They're doing it because they watched a colleague, after 20 years of unwavering loyalty, get walked out with a cardboard box. Imagine 1995. You witness your mother's company downsize. People who had worked there since before you were born are suddenly unemployed at 50. No warning, no safety net, just gone. That image was seared into every Gen X brain. Never, ever depend on one source of income. Not because you're entrepreneurial, but because you're terrified. That's why they have the Etsy shop, the consulting gig, and the rental property. It's not ambition, it's insurance. Here's something that frequently baffles marketers. Gen X will job hop without hesitation, yet they exhibit a peculiar loyalty to brands. An Adobe study found Gen Xers are 34% more likely than millennials to stick with brands from their youth, even when cheaper alternatives are available. They'll resign from a Fortune 500 company via email, but they'll drive across town for the coffee shop where the owner remembers their order. They possess zero loyalty to institutions, yet intense loyalty to people and products they trust. The psychology behind this is quite straightforward. Institutions betrayed them. People haven't. Or at least when people betray you, you can hold them accountable. When a corporation does it, you typically receive a severance check and a form letter. So yes, they're still buying Levi's, listening to the same bands, and using the same brands they loved in high school. Not because they're stuck in the past, but because those things didn't lie to them. Now, this is where Gen X truly becomes fascinating. They maintain high savings rates and robust emergency funds, yet they also pioneered spending on experiences. Eventbrite data reveals Gen Xers spend approximately $3,000 annually on concerts, travel, and live events, more than any other generation in actual dollars. They are financially paranoid and experientially extravagant simultaneously. And it's the exact same underlying psychology driving both behaviors. They save obsessively because systems cannot be trusted. They spend on experiences because times cannot be trusted either. Your house can go underwater. Your car depreciates. Your possessions mean nothing when the economy collapses. But that Pearl Jam concert in 1994, nobody can repossess that memory. It's actually brilliant when you consider it. They realized that in an unstable economy, experiences offer a better return on investment than material goods. The bank cannot foreclose on the trip you took. You cannot lose your memories in a market crash. Let's delve into Gen X's complicated relationship with financial advisors. Data from Cerulli Associates indicates they are the least likely generation to utilize traditional financial advisors. They prefer to research and manage everything themselves, yet they are also the most anxious about whether they're making the right decisions. They don't want help, but they are terrified of making a mistake. The key is this: Gen X came of age when you could genuinely learn from books and figure things out independently. They are arguably the last generation that truly believes in self-education. So, they read financial books, build complex spreadsheets, and manage their own portfolios because they sincerely believe they can learn how. However, they also witness the consequences when their parents blindly trusted experts with their pensions. Consequently, they will educate themselves, verify everything twice, and never trust anyone's advice without conducting their own thorough research first. It's not arrogance, it's self-defense. Here's a statistic that often surprises people. Gen X carries the highest total debt of any generation, according to Experian. Yet, they are also the most strategic about it. They will readily take on a $400,000 mortgage, but adamantly refuse to carry a $2,000 credit card balance. The differentiating factor is control. A mortgage is predictable, fixed payments, a clear timeline. You know precisely what you're dealing with. Credit card debt, however, is chaos, a financial quicksand that never ends. They watched it swallow their parents whole in the 1980s and 90s. Research from the University of Michigan found that Gen X witnessed unprecedented consumer debt during their childhood, then saw the devastating consequences in 2008. The lesson wasn't never borrow, but only borrow what you can map to completion. So, they will leverage debt for assets they believe will appreciate: real estate, business investments, strategic moves. But buying a couch on credit or charging a vacation, that's the insidious debt that kills you slowly, and they know it. One last habit that might seem old-fashioned, but is actually genius. Gen X keeps paper records. AARP found that 61% of them maintain physical files of important documents, compared to just 34% of millennials. They are not technologically illiterate. They literally helped build the internet. But they also remember when companies lost records, databases crashed, and digital promises evaporated. They trust technology to work times most times of the time. They trust paper to work times all times of the time. It's called redundancy by design. A digital banking app? Yes. Paper statements? Also, yes. Cloud storage? Sure. A fireproof safe? Obviously. It seems excessive until you've lived through multiple system failures. So, what does Gen X's unique money psychology truly reveal? They aren't confused or contradictory. They are profoundly times adapted. Specifically, adapted to an economy that promised them one thing and delivered another entirely. They are financial survivalists with meticulously funded retirement accounts. They trust nothing, prepare for everything, and show up anyway, because what else is there to do? Remember that child in the bank in 1983 learning that hard work equates to security. They learned the lesson, but they also learned that the system can change the rules whenever it pleases. So now, they play the game, but they never forget it's rigged. If you found this discussion interesting, please share a comment below about money habits you've observed in yourself or those around you. And for more insights into the psychology behind financial behaviors, subscribe to Lucid Capital so you don't miss our next video. Your money habits aren't random. They are direct responses to the world that shaped you. And honestly, Gen X's responses make perfect sense.